The African Amin Nasser, the CEO of Saudi Aramco, the world's biggest oil company, says the global energy transition is failing and advises policymakers to abandon the fantasy of phasing out oil and gas as demands for fossil fuel is expected to grow in the coming years. Nasser's comment was in sharp contrast to the IEA's forecast last year that oil, gas, and coal demand will peak by the year 2030. Wading through these and more for me right now is NJ Ayuk. He is the executive chairman of the African Energy Chamber in Johannesburg, South Africa. A great Tuesday evening to you, NJ. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to join you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that tonight. How does the Saudi Aramco CEO's comments on the future of oil resonate with you at the AEC?
I think the IEA has always been dead wrong on the future oil, especially with Africa. Let's not forget the IEA, most of its analysis have always been looking at energy demand across Europe and the United States and many wealthy countries. They've never really factored in Africa and other emerging markets. We didn't really count. But when you look at energy demand across the world, you're looking at populations rising in Africa, where you're going to see maybe by 2050, we're looking at about 2 billion to 2.3 billion people. So if you count in Africa, you count in Asia, and you count in most emerging markets, then you really realize that natural gas and oil are going to play a leading role for a long time to come. And I think that my good friend Amir Nasser out of Saudi Aramco, he's right on point on that. It is a fantasy to think that oil is going to be out of the world and we're going to move into a solar and or renewable future anytime soon. But also, we also have to take a look at what we saw right after the crisis in Ukraine and Russia. The developed world didn't rush to install a solar panel in every house. They rushed to use coal. They rushed to use natural gas. And that reality has to kick in. So it has to be a discussion about energy security, energy poverty, and meeting demand right now and transitioning in the future in a just way.
Very, very interesting. The AEC just secured a partnership deal for the hosting of the Eurasia Africa Energy Summit in September in Kazakhstan. It looks like the Asians are warming up towards Africa, trying to see what can come. What's in this deal for Africa from Asia at this very crunching time?
It's going to be all about investments. We have to really look at expanding our horizons. We can't just look and trade with our traditional trading partners. Eurasia is going to be big. Looking outside Russia, looking at Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, and all those countries, there is something we can really not just learn, but collaborate with. It's a gas game. And they have built a natural gas industry that is so big and so strong. I think there's a big, big play there for Africa. And we are going to be taking a lot of African businesses, a lot of African entrepreneurs, and really trying to bring the bacon home.
Interesting why the Central Europe folks are interested right now in Africa. What deals are you seeing on the table? That's on one side. Then when you look at the conference going on in Houston, Texas right now, this week-long summit, I'm sure you've got one eye on that as well. Why are the big deals happening on the African continent? Why is everyone interested in Africa?
I think Africa has abundant opportunities, but also it's its people, young, vibrant, really having a big quest to grow. But I think also they recognize that they see a change in Africa, an Africa that has moved away from the past. We're embracing free markets, limited government, individual liberty. We're also embracing that when you have low taxes, build strong democratic institutions, respect the rule of law, and really drive up and sign deals, Africa has become more interesting. Give you a good example, Congo, Brazzaville. They had a sleepy oil industry. Bruno Jacques Richard Etoua are working this industry, and he and I moved at doing a massive LNG project for $10 billion investment. You just talked about Cote d'Ivoire thinking about OPEC. It's because deals have been signed. When countries sign deals and they move, that's why I say sign, baby, sign, then things have moved. It shouldn't take so long to sign a deal and approve a deal, and the time it takes to build that deal, to build that project. That's why Africa is right on. Don't you forget Namibia. You've seen the next big play is Africa's Guyana right now. Discovery after discovery happening. And Nigeria itself is even more interesting right now. President Tinubu's gas decrees have really sparked a lot of interest in what more can come into Africa's sleeping market that took 20 years to pass the Petroleum Industry Act. People are turning interest, but we cannot rest on our laurels. We got to drive it. This is time for us to get on the driver's seat and lead the world, especially when it comes to gas monetizations, gas development, but also drive up local content and drive up women in energy.
But was that the message that you're delivering across Africa as the head of this major advocacy group? When you talk company, when you were in Ghana recently for that energy summit, you also met with Senegalese President Macky Sall. What are the discussions around these two countries' energy sector?
Ghana has done well. You know, Ghana discovered oil. They moved really fast. Within 4 years, they started producing. Enabling environment, they took a step back. They got a little bit slow, and they're picking right back up. But also, you're looking at technology, the technologies of tomorrow. What are we as Africans discussing with the kind of technologies we're going to need in the future? Because there is going to be a transition in the horizon. I'm known for being the drill baby drill guy. I love it. But we also have to also see what is on the horizon and how we need to get that financing together to drive it up. The African Energy Bank discussions are ongoing. Ghana is a major player looking at that. But we wanted to see what to do with the AFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Act. I had to visit President Macky Sall, amazing leader, one of the greatest African leaders of our lifetimes when it comes to energy. Reduced term limits, is moving the country towards a democratic transition, and Senegal is going to be in peace. They're going to see two massive projects this year. There's going to be the GTA gas is going to come on stream. The Sagoma for Woodside is going to come. It takes a special African leader. It takes a special man to be able to drive that. And while there are challenges, you keep going forward. So my meetings with African head of states continues to keep same message: free markets, limited governments, rule of law, but the energy industry is going to be the driver. It pays more taxes than any industry in Africa. It creates more jobs than any industry. It puts more African families to schools and creates more opportunity. That's why we love energy. That's why we have to continue engaging with our leadership, and we will be doing that in Cape Town when I see you during Africa Energy Week. Africa Oil Week is dead. Africa Energy Week is going to be alive, and we're going to drive it.
Very interesting. If I take you back to the Saudi Aramco CEO's comments on the future of oil and what it means for Africa. So we've got to deal with that, but we have to be part of the energy transition in the way moving forward. So what's your thinking here? What will be your message moving forward? You've got the Paris event coming up in May. I think after that, you've got a couple of others at the AEC ahead of the Eurasia Africa Energy Summit in September. Then, of course, all eyes will be on Cape Town in November.
We can't transition from the dark to the dark. We must be very clear about that. 600 million without access to electricity, 900 million without clean cooking technologies using biomass. That is Africa's call for today. It is a little bit arrogant and sometimes even colonial to think that you could, the African needs to accept to be without electricity and without industrialization. The wealthy nations need to decarbonize. African nation needs to industrialize. And that's what we'll be doing. That message is going to be very resounding clear. Even though we're talking about a transition as to what is going on, we would not stop with our march towards this.
All right. Thank you so much for this robust conversation, as always, on the world of energy. Thank you so much, NG Ayuk, the Executive Chairman at the African Energy Chamber. All the best to you and the team. Do have a great evening in South Africa.